All right, guys, here's one that you don't really see too often posted up in any of your Facebook groups or your watch groups or whatever. Most of us Seikoholics know this one exists, but we just never ever get hands on, and we just don't see a ton of them. And I think there's some videos out there, but I'm going to throw my hat in the ring as well. So a big thanks to my buddy Jerry for committing and picking one of these up, and then my buddy Calico for buying this one from Jerry, and then me just intercepting that transaction so I can share it with you guys. This is the sbdb015, retail price $33.50, using the spring drive 5R66, which has a power indicator, fuel gauge, a date, hour, minute, second. Look at the sweep of that second hand on that spring drive. And then, of course, this one has a GMT hand as well. 100-meter water resist, and this is a full titanium, and this is a beautiful titanium finish on this. I mean, Seiko did a phenomenal job on this. So you can get newer released Seiko models that are going to have the spring drive on them in the GMT, basically the same movement, but they're calling it was called the LX series or something like that. Hopefully I'll get some of those in and do videos on them, but this one is just crazy in its overall design. Kind of reminds me almost of like Tudor's North Flag, where it's very unique. Yeah, that one had an integrated bracelet and everything, and it's hate it or love it sort of thing. That's definitely the case with this. I mean, because if you look at the case on it, you can see like it's totally different. It's asymmetrical. It's got the crown up at the 12, and then it has a regular straight lug almost here, and then you have a fitted bracelet over here. So these are all one-off parts. They're only made for this watch. There's no other watches that use any of these parts essentially. So let's get into the size and then all that good stuff, because there's a lot of cool stuff. So if I measure the widest point down here, because you can see it kind of flares, the widest point down here is 46.5 millimeter basically. If you measure up towards the top, it's more like 43. So it's going to present like a 43, and it's spread out. So it's not going to wear like a 46.5, even though it is. It's titanium, and it has that really cool case shape, and it's going to be very comfortable. 49 lug to lug, 24 millimeter lug width, but look how crazy the taper is on that bracelet, down to 19. The watch is 14 millimeter thick, so it's a big watch. There's no getting around that, but it wears great. Trust me, I'll show you in a minute. Sized up for my 7¼ inch wrist, it weighs in at 135 grams. You have about an 8 millimeter screw down crown there. You can see it has the Prospex X on there. This is part of that lineup, even though they didn't put it on the dial. So, the dial's already busy enough. We don't need any more information. So take a closer look at the dial. I cannot get this crystal, the sapphire crystal, to stay like dust free. Sorry about that, guys. We'll just have to work through it, right? So I can see a little bit of anti-reflective coating on there too, but you have super legible hour-minute hand, second hand, crazy clean sweep. Look at that. I mean, you don't see any ticks. It's just steady moving along, keeping track of time. Of course, you have the fuel gauge there, and then the date, and then that GMT hand is kind of stealthed in there, but it has that really nice lume going around the top part of it there. The lume on this thing is amazing. You can kind of see, I can't really zoom in too much, but you can kind of see the texture on that 12 up there. That's like crazy hand applied texturing on there. The texturing on the lume is just crazy. And then the center part of the dial is like lower than the chapter, which is where all the 24-hour numbers are, and the regular indexes, and of course all your small tracks on the outside there. Japan 5R66, 72-hour power reserve. This movement has 30 joules in it. There's no escapement. It's actually using, in case you don't know about spring drive, I'll see if I can find an article or something to link in the description. It's way more complicated than I'm going to be able to try to explain, and I don't know that much about it anyway. So I just unscrewed the crown, which is kind of weird to operate because it's up here, right? But if you take a look at the fuel gauge as I wind it up, you can see it just adding to it. Okay, so that's it. You just wind it up until it's full, or just wear it. It's still like kind of like an automatic. It'll still just wind up that way too. So now if we pop the crown out to the first position, you're going to keep the time moving, and what you have is you have a jump hour hand. So as you travel across different time zones, you just, I mean, this is like how a GMT really should work. So, and then it's also for setting the date. You can see you can set it forward, you've seen a jump, and you can set it backward too. So you can go ahead and adjust however you want. Now the last position is going to hack the movement, and then that's how you actually set your GMT, which I'm not going to begin to try to explain it because honestly, guys, I don't know. So essentially, I mean, I think you would kind of start here, and then you could, at this point, then you could adjust your time here, and then you could adjust your minutes or your hours. So however you want to do it. And then you know, to adjust your GMT, basically you would, whatever time zone you want to track, you would adjust it to whatever time you want it to be, whatever plus minus whatever your home time is. I know I'm doing a terrible job explaining it, guys, but that's how you do it. So whatever time it is, plus minus whatever your time zone is to match the other one. So it's pretty simple to do once you do it. There's videos out there actually explaining it. I didn't explain it. I just kind of demonstrated how the hands move around. You know, to actually set them up, that's a whole different thing. I can't get into it because I don't use it and I don't fully understand it anyway, but I've watched a couple of videos and I know that's essentially how you do it. None of that made sense. I'm sorry. So let me pop this guy on wrist so you can see what it looks like on my 7 1/4. It like hugs the wrist. It feels perfect on wrist. And that titanium is very balanced or neutral as far as like pulling or heat or cold or anything from your body or from the outside temperature. So it feels very neutral on wrist from the temperature standpoint of view, and then the weight, even though it's a larger watch, the weight of it. Now you're going to want to wear this one a little bit tight. I feel like its bias is to like kind of rotate top, but I don't want to say it's top heavy. It's just the design of the case, because you can see it's different from the top and bottom, but it feels planted for the most part, as long as you size it properly. Now there's no quick adjust or anything on there. You can see on the bracelet, you have a nice milled titanium clasp, and then you just have that standard Seiko 4 micro adjust. So there's nothing to do on the fly or anything like that, but you can still use that. The bracelet also utilizes a pin and collar system, so be prepared to handle that. It's not too bad. To just make sure you have a good space where you're not going to lose the little collar, because it has the small collar. It's not the big collar. It's probably more like the Monster or something. Let me grab a Seiko SKX out of the case so I can show you a size comparison real quick. So there you go, as a size comparison. It's a big boy watch for sure, no doubt about it. But super legible, super comfortable, not cheap. They're not giving them away, that's for sure. You can find potentially deals on the secondhand market. Like this one is scratched up. If you look there, it's scratched there. You know, the bracelet, it's usually on this side. You do have some scratches on the titanium, which the titanium is going to show the scratches for sure. But this one's meant to be used. Oh, look at the case back here. I forgot to show this. There's some information there. So I think what you're supposed to do is laser engrave like your personal data, your name, your nationality, the blood type, and your birthday. That's, you know, for when you're traveling and you're doing the LandMaster things. So like if they find your find you and you're in need of recovery or, you know, something like that, they can pop this off and look on the back of the watch. I don't know if that's something that's common on some like Explorer type watches, to have that information on the watch case back. But that, I thought that was kind of cool. Instead of having like just a regular bracelet, it's actually on the bottom side of your watch. But you have to fill it out. I mean, you have to have it done. And most of us are flippers and you're not going to commit to that level. But for the people that are end users on this, that's actually really cool. And they're going to use it for what its intended purpose is. That would be really cool. All right, I think I babbled enough. Let's kill the lights and check the Lume on this. The Lume is amazing. Before I do that, though, I need to move the hands because I don't want the... let's go like that, because I want you to see the GMT hand too, right? All right, let's kill the lights. You can already see even in as you introduce it into low light, it already just comes alive. But it comes ridiculously alive when you go full dark. The lume on this is probably the best Seiko lume I've seen. And I've handled a lot of the like SBBN tunas, which are traditionally the most brightest, but this thing is the best. This has got to be the reigning champ in the Seiko lume department. Super legible, super easy to read and orientate, and you can still easily find that GMT hand. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next vid.